Yesterday, I received a photograph of a woman who shouldn't exist, not after 15 years of police reports, vigils, and a closed case file stamped. Deceased presumed. I was standing at my kitchen counter, stirring sugar into my first coffee of the morning, when my phone buzzed with a notification that would crack open the life I'd spent years trying to seal shut. My name is Michael Turner, 58 years old, former paramedic turned night shift supervisor at a medical supply warehouse. Once, long before my world collapsed, I was known for my calm under pressure, steady hands, fast decisions, a career built on saving other people's families. I rebuilt mine alone after my daughter vanished and my marriage followed. I'm telling you this story because yesterday someone forced me to choose between accepting the grave or believing my daughter might still be alive. The email came from no one, literally no sender name, no profile image, no text except a subject line that made my stomach twist. Emily, 27, yesterday. For a moment, I just stared at it. My apartment was quiet, the morning sunlight creeping across the counter, my coffee turning cold in my hand. It felt like the air thickened, like the room shrank around me. After so many years of false leads and cruel internet strangers, I trained myself not to flinch at anything. But this felt different. Personal. Direct. My thumb hovered over the screen, a reflex caught between dread and longing. I opened it. There was no message body, only one line, centered like a command. She didn't die. You were meant to believe she did. Underneath was a single attachment, img_0194.jpg. My heart stuttered the way it used to in the early days after Emily vanished, before exhaustion and grief taught it to slow down. I tapped the file. The image snapped open. A woman, mid-20s, walking past a crowded street vendor at night. The picture was slightly blurred, taken from a distance, maybe a phone or a security camera. Her hair was darker, her posture older, but the birthmark under her left eye, that comma-shaped crescent she used to hide behind her hand in school photos, was unmistakable. My knees almost gave out. For 15 years I'd lived in the space between hope and death, where memories rot and possibilities hurt. Now, with one grainy image, that fragile balance exploded. Before I realized what I was doing, I was dialing Detective Laura Briggs, the one person who once promised she'd never stop looking, even when the department did. When she picked up, I couldn't breathe for a moment. "Laura," I whispered, gripping the counter to steady myself. "I think someone just sent me proof that Emily's alive." Detective Laura Briggs arrived at my apartment less than an hour later, hair still damp from a rushed shower, badge clipped to her belt like she'd put it on mid-drive. She didn't bother with small talk. One look at the printed screenshot on my kitchen table and the color drained from her face. "This can't be real," she murmured, though it sounded more like she was trying to convince herself than me. Laura had once been the only cop who refused to let Emily's case die quietly. Even after the official closure, she kept a private notebook, pages of interviews, theories, dead ends. Seeing her unsettled now made the room feel colder. She pulled out her laptop and gloves, treating the email like evidence the moment she sat down. "You didn't click any links besides the image, right?" she asked. "No." "Good. Whoever sent this wanted your attention, not your information." Her fingers moved fast across the keyboard, tracing the email's path. I watched the reflection of the screen in her glasses, numbers, letters, VPN chains. Every few seconds she muttered, "That's strange," or, "Why hide that?" Meanwhile, the image stared up at me from the table. I found myself memorizing every pixel, every detail of the woman's face. The curve of her jaw. The way she held her shoulders, just a little forward, the same posture Emily had when she was nervous. Even the shape of her hands. Hands I'd held for 12 years. Hands I'd mourned for 15. Laura finally exhaled through her teeth. "This sender knows exactly what they're doing. They bounced this through 7 different servers, 2 foreign. But they slipped up." She rotated the laptop so I could see a string of metadata highlighted in yellow. "This route is common on darknet exchanges, specifically ones that deal in stolen personal files. Missing persons, security footage, hacked cloud drives. She looked at me, voice lowering. Emily's old case file was digitalized 2 years before the department closed it. Anyone with access to certain databases could have pulled her childhood photos. My stomach tightened. So this is a fake? Laura shook her head immediately. No. That birthmark placement is too precise, and the shadows match the metadata timestamp. I think the picture is real. But the sender is hiding something. A knock suddenly rattled the front door, sharp, hurried, intrusive. Both Laura and I stiffened. Expecting someone? She whispered. I shook my head. Laura slid her hand to her holster and stepped toward the door, every movement quiet, controlled. Stay behind me, she murmured. Whoever was on the other side knocked again, harder this time, urgent, like they already knew exactly what we were looking at on the table. Laura pressed a finger to her lips, signaling me to stay silent as the third knock hit the door, 3 rapid, impatient strikes that didn't sound like a neighbor or a delivery driver. She positioned herself to the side of the frame, hand hovering near her holster, and nodded for me to speak. Who is it? My voice cracked despite trying to sound steady. A man's voice came through, calm, flat, practiced. Mr. Turner? My name is Nathan Cole. I need to speak with you. It's about your daughter. Laura's eyes widened just slightly, the only sign she was alarmed. She whispered, Do not let him in yet. Then, louder through the door. Sir, identify yourself clearly and state your purpose. A pause on the other side. Then, I sent the photo. Those 4 words dropped into the silence like a stone. My breath caught. Laura tensed completely, shifting her weight like a spring. How did you get this address? She demanded. Another pause, longer this time. I'll explain. Just let me in. Please. Before someone else gets here. Laura leaned close to me, her voice barely audible. He either knows exactly what he's doing, or he's being hunted. Either way, we control the entry. She unlocked the deadbolt but braced her foot behind the door so it would open only a few inches. The chain stayed on. Nathan's face appeared in the narrow gap, a man in his early 30s, pale, tense, eyes darting over Laura's shoulder like he was checking the hallway behind me rather than our expressions. He wasn't sweating, but he looked like someone who should have been. Proof, Laura snapped. Give us something now. Nathan reached slowly into his jacket and produced a small flash drive, holding it pinched between 2 fingers like a white flag. I didn't doctor the image, he said, voice low. I found it. And there's more. Something in the way he said more made the hairs on my neck rise. Why send it to me? I asked. Because, he whispered, glancing down the hall again. You're the only one who never stopped looking. The words hit harder than I expected. Laura unhooked the chain and allowed the door to open fully, but she stayed blocking his path. You come inside, you don't touch anything, and you don't move without permission. Understand? Nathan nodded. Inside, he stopped abruptly when he saw the printed photo on my table. A flicker, recognition? Guilt crossed his expression. That's one of them, he murmured. There were dozens. Laura's hand froze above her notepad. Dozens of what, exactly? Nathan swallowed hard. Images. Files. All from the same network. Some old. Some extremely recent. And one of them. He pointed at the woman in the picture. Is Emily. I'm certain. My pulse roared in my ears. So where did you find them? Nathan hesitated, just enough to be noticeable. I can show you, he said quietly. But not from here. Laura and I exchanged a look, her eyes hard with suspicion, mine burning with a fragile, impossible hope. Nathan exhaled and whispered. Someone has been collecting footage of missing girls, and Emily isn't the only one. Laura didn't move at first. She just stared at Nathan, studying every twitch in his face, every break in his voice, the way a seasoned paramedic studies a patient before deciding whether the wound is real or self-inflicted. Finally, she stepped back just enough to give him space. "Sit," she ordered. Nathan obeyed instantly, lowering himself into the chair like someone accustomed to following instructions from people with authority. His hands trembled slightly as he placed the flash drive on the table between us. Laura eyed it like it might explode. "Before I plug that into anything," she said, "you're going to explain exactly where you got it." Nathan clasped his hands together, squeezing hard. "I do data sanitation for small businesses, clearing corrupted storage, salvaging old hard drives. Last month, a client brought in a damaged server. Said it was from a failed startup. But the directory structure didn't make sense. It had no financial records, no user accounts. Just video. Hundreds of clips. Some only seconds long. Some hours." I felt something cold slide into my chest. "Of children?" "Of girls," Nathan whispered. "Most of them were teenagers. A few looked older. Some looked younger." Laura's jaw clenched. Nathan continued. "When I saw the birthmark on the girl in one of the files, I recognized her. From news articles. Old missing posters. Emily Turner." He looked at me. "I didn't know if it was really her, so I cross-checked. I found her school photos on public archives. The match was almost perfect." Laura leaned in. "So why contact Michael directly instead of the police?" Nathan hesitated. "Because I think someone in law enforcement already knows. Or is watching. 2 hours after I copied the files, someone broke into my apartment. Didn't take anything. Just looked through it. I could tell." Laura's expression darkened. "You're sure someone broke in?" "They moved my chair. Just a few inches. And they unplugged the router from the wall, not the power bar. No regular thief does that." A silence stretched over the room like smoke. "So," I finally said, "you think Emily is alive, but you're afraid whoever is running this network doesn't want the truth getting out." Nathan nodded, breathing shallow. "I didn't send the photo to hurt you. I sent it because you're the only one who'd take it seriously." Laura stood abruptly. "Enough. We're not doing anything else until I see the files on a secured device." She pocketed the flash drive carefully. "We'll analyze it at my office. Controlled environment. Not here." Nathan's eyes widened. No, you can't go there. They monitor government systems. You plug that in, and someone will know. You'll lead them straight to me. Straight to him." He pointed at me. For the first time since he arrived, genuine panic cracked his voice. Laura froze. I felt my throat tighten. "Then where?" she asked quietly. "Do you suggest we look at it?" Nathan swallowed, looked toward the window as if expecting someone already watching. "There's a place," he whispered. "If she's alive, it's the only place these files make sense." The room felt smaller. "What place?" I asked. Nathan looked directly at me, eyes hollow, terrified, certain. "A building on the east side. Abandoned on paper. But they've been using it for years." Laura didn't like the idea. I could see it in the way her shoulders tightened, in the way her hand drifted toward her holster without her realizing. "You're telling me," she said slowly, "that someone is operating an active facility inside city limits and no one has noticed?" Nathan shook his head. "People have noticed. They just learn not to ask questions." The way he said it, quiet, defeated, settled into the room like dust. Laura exchanged a look with me, that silent conversation only two people facing the same fear can share. Finally, she pulled out a folded paper map from her bag. "Show me." Nathan traced a finger along the east side of the city, stopping at an area of industrial lots, half abandoned, half repurposed into storage units and night shift warehouses. "Here. Used to be a rehabilitation center. Closed 10 years ago after funding fell through. On paper, it's empty. But the power grid says otherwise." Laura's eyebrows lifted. "You checked the utilities?" I check everything, he muttered. We drove in Laura's car, windows cracked just enough to hear the hum of the highway. Nathan sat in the back, jittery, peering through the glass every few seconds. The city lights thinned as we crossed into the industrial district. By the time we turned onto the narrow access road, the street lamps were dead and the shadows felt heavier, thicker. There, Nathan whispered. The building stood squat and windowless, a concrete shell with peeling paint and boarded-up doors. At first glance, it looked deserted. But then I saw it, a faint glow near the basement windows. Electrical. Alive. Laura parked a block away and killed the engine. No one moves alone, she said. We go slow. We go quiet. We moved through the dark, gravel crunching under our feet. The air smelled of metal and stagnant water. As we approached, I noticed something else, cigarette butts scattered near a side door. Fresh ones. Someone had been here recently. Maybe still was. Laura motioned us to stop. I'm going to check the perimeter, she whispered. Stay behind cover. But before she could take a step, a sound cut through the stillness, a soft mechanical click, followed by the faint hum of a generator powering up. Light flickered from the basement at the exact moment headlights turned onto the access road behind us. Nathan swore under his breath. They're here. Laura pushed me toward the shadows. Move. Now. As we ducked behind a collapsed fence, an SUV rolled to a stop in front of the building, its windows tinted, engine low, too practiced to be anything but intentional. Two silhouettes stepped out, scanning the area like they expected company. My pulse pounded in my ears. Laura leaned close, voice barely audible. We're leaving. We regroup. We plan. But as we pulled back through the dark, I looked once more at the basement window, just long enough to see a shadow move inside. A human shadow. Someone was down there. Someone who knew Emily. Someone who might have seen her. And for the first time in 15 years, I wasn't just hoping she was alive. I was certain.